Trump accounts are officially here, and I'm here to tell you all about them. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you if they're overrated or not. Let's dive in. All right, so this is what we're going to go through today. Understanding Trump accounts. What's a Trump account? Who is eligible? Who and how much can be contributed? How is it invested? What are some gift tax rules around it? What's the tax treatment of the accounts? What happens at age 18? And finally, is it going to be worth doing? All right, so what's a Trump account? Basically, it's a government-sponsored savings plan. It's going to be very close to mirroring an IRA, a traditional IRA, but it's going to have some caveats that we'll get into. The big news is that the government is going to give kids that sign up for these accounts $1,000. But it's only for the select few that are born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028. You're going to have to elect IRS form 4547, so make sure you bookmark that because you do have to fill out the form in order to get the $1,000. In terms of who can actually fund it, kind of everyone when you look at it, but basically, parents going to be the primary funding source, family members, employers can kick in some money, charities and governments can contribute, including even state governments. Some have talked about adding money to it, but also we've seen some more famous people like Michael Dell or Ray Dalio. They love the concept of this, and they're going to put money up. Even Nicki Minaj has actually talked about adding money to it for her fans. So you never know. All right, so who's eligible for a Trump account? To open an account, the child has to be under 18 years of age. They have to have a valid Social Security number, so basically be a U.S. citizen. And there's only one account per child, so you can't game the system and try and open 6 accounts for one kid to get $6,000. That's not going to happen. And we already kind of went over the getting the money for the $1,000. So how much can be contributed? So at its core, after the $1,000, basically $5,000 can go in there a year for the most part. So $5,000 can come from one person, all from a family member, or it could be a mix. If employers contributing, the max that they can contribute to the Trump account is $2,500 per year. That does contribute to the $5,000 cap. So if they're putting in $2,500, that means you as a parent or a grandparent can put away only another $2,500. They are going to index this number for inflation starting after 2027. So for the next couple of years, they're going to be $5,000. Starting in 2028, that's when the $5,000 number will be indexed to inflation. Now we talked about the $1,000. That is not going to impact the $5,000. And same thing with most government or nonprofits. If they're putting money in, it's generally not going to add to the $5,000 or cut it down the $5,000 limit. So it'll generally be the $5,000 plus whatever government or charitable entities put in there as well. So how are the Trump accounts invested? They're very strict on this. So basically there's 4 things that they have to apply to in order to be eligible to be an investment vehicle for this. So one, it has to track a broad U.S. equity index. So not a bond index, equity index. So these are going to be more on the risky side compared to, let's say, like an all bond portfolio. So the equity index is basically going to be something, the most common one that most people have heard of is the S&P 500 index. So it's the 500 largest U.S. companies, but it could also be, like the Russell 2000 or the entire U.S. Stock market index. So basically, as long as 90% of U.S. companies are in that ETF or index fund, they'll be eligible to be in a Trump account. The expense ratio has to be below 0.10%. So these are going to be very low cost funds in there. And finally, it has to use no leverage. So it can't be one of these fancy levered ETFs that's trying to shoot for the moon. It's got to be a real plain vanilla basic US index fund. Okay. All right. So what are the gift tax rules? Now there's some talk about this on the internets here that we're talking about could be a future interest gift, but let's take a step back. So the amount that any person can gift any other person is $19,000 a year. If you gift over that, you have to file a gift tax return, and it goes into your exception. So seeing as how $5,000 is lower than $19,000, there's no worry with this. Where the worry was is a lot of people were saying, well, this is maybe considered a future interest gift because you're giving them money to use later on. Thankfully, the IRS said, oh, we're going to make this called a safe harbor, and we're not going to worry about that rule. So any money you put in is not going to have to file a gift tax return because that would be crazy convoluted for the IRS, and I think they would all hate that. So at the end of the day is, yes, this $5,000 would count towards the $19,000 exclusion, but you're not going to worry about filing gift tax returns for just funding a Trump account. Okay, what is a tax treatment? So this gets a little tricky because when you're contributing money as a person, that $5,000, let's say your company's not doing it, the $5,000 that you're putting in there or less, that is using after-tax money. So it's money you've already paid taxes on. Right, so thankfully you don't pay tax on that again, but any of the gains from there on out, you're going to pay taxes on. Right, so if you put money in, your grandparents put money in, there's no tax deduction for it, but you don't take taxes when you take the money out of the Trump accounts. There's also some things that are non-basis. So basically, the employer gets a tax deduction for it. So all of these are going to be taxable later on as ordinary income. So basically, the money you put in, you've already paid taxes on, you don't pay tax again. Any of the growth or any of the money that your employer or the government puts in, that's going to be taxed later on. And it's done on a pro rata basis. So if $10 is considered your basis and $90 is considered your growth or government seed, basically if you take out $10, $1 is going to be tax-free, $9 is going to be taxable at income tax rates. Okay, so it's going to work very much like an IRA with some small caveats. So you got to make sure they're tracking this correctly for you. All right, so what happens at age 18? So at age 18, that IRA, the Trump account basically converts into a traditional IRA for you. The child becomes the owner. They have full control over the account. They can keep contributing as long as they have earned income like you would a regular traditional IRA. Now, there are withdrawal penalties. So if you take out the money before age 59 and a half, there's a 10% penalty, plus you're paying taxes on any of those gains or any of those other situations. So it very much turns into a regular IRA at age 18. Okay, so when can you actually access the money? So before 18, you cannot make withdrawals. It's there. It's in money jail. It's not going out. Okay. After age 18, you say, oh, what if I have to go to college? Okay, yeah, you can take it out, but you're paying taxes. You're just waiving the 10% penalty. So all of these items here, qualified medical expenses, $10,000 for your first home, taking money out for a birth of a baby or adopting someone, $1,000 for a personal emergency. They waive the 10% tax penalty only, not the gains or anything like that. So you're still paying taxes on the money. It just gives you some access to it. So be very careful when you're saying, look, I'm going to set this up for my kid's college because while this may help, there's some tax consequences of that. Plus, there's some issues with the FAFSA form because this is now the kid's money. So there's some things to worry about with that. So how does it really compare? So let's say like I've got a child right now. Maybe they're being born now. Maybe they're 5. Maybe they're 7. Do I open up a Trump account? Do I open up a 529 plan? Should I do a Roth IRA? Should I even do like an UTMA account, like a custodial account? Let's look at the comparison here. So with a Trump account, you can put in $5,000. With a 529, you could do the gift tax limit, so $19,000 per person. So each parent can put in $19,000, plus a grandparent can put in $19,000. Plus 529s have this special rule where you can front load gifting, so you can do 5 years of gifting in 1 year. So you can really front load these 529s. So the growth with this taxes ordinary income. With a 529, it's tax-free if you use it for education. With a Roth, also tax-free. With an UTMA account, any of the gains will be taxed at capital gains rates, so those are a little bit more tax efficient there. Where Trump accounts really can help you out is they're really good to get a retirement plan head start. They're not really going to be good if you're saying, look, I want to pay for college, I want to make sure this kid has money for a first home, or I want to give them kind of a head start on life in general. These can be good vehicles if you're pushing money for retirement. You say, hey, look, we want to get the $1,000. We want to make sure our kids have a little bit of a head start now as a baby is earnings, but we're not really going to fund it because our main concern is paying for education or paying for their first home. Like that's where the 529 can help. That's where the UTMA account can help because that's money that's really going to be liquid throughout the entire time period that if they need to use it for, let's say, even secondary school, a 529 plan, you could take it out. In an UTMA account, you could take it out before age 18 and it becomes theirs. So there's a lot more flexibility. Even with a 529, you can convert that now to Roth IRA. So just like you can convert a Trump account to a Roth IRA, you can convert a 529 for a Roth IRA. So if you have a really smart kid, a gifted athlete that gets a scholarship, or you have a kid that just says, hey, look, I want to go to trade school. I don't really need all this money in a 529. That can still be used again for retirement. So overall, I don't love the Trump accounts. I think they're everything's in the right place. I think giving a gift of $1,000 is awesome for kids. I would 100% take advantage of that if that was an opportunity. Some states are giving money towards it. If there's basically free money involved and they're going to give you money for this, I would 100% look to take it. Now, if you're looking at setting up a Trump account for your 5 or 6 year old that's right now that's not going to get that free money, that's when you have a little bit more of a tough choice. You really got to figure out what is the main goal of me putting money away for my child. And if it's for a 529 plan or it's for even future growth, I would say an UTMA is better. A Roth IRA would be better. I mean, once they turn 16 or 15 and they start getting a job and they can put money away for retirement, that would be a much better vehicle, in my opinion, than the Trump account. But everyone's situation is going to be different. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Anyway, I would say, like I said, to reiterate, college, 529s are designed for college. Retirement, yeah, I would say it's probably the best fit for that. To get started early adulthood, you could open a custodial account for them, or you can even just do your own investment account and you just kind of donate money to them or give them throughout the years as they need it for a wedding or as they need it for a first home. You can gift that stuff later on too, and you have total control over it the entire time. So in a nutshell, that's how Trump accounts work. I think they're a little overrated, but once again, someone's going to offer you free money, may as well take it. I'm Derek Mazzarella with Gateway Financial Partners. Hope you like and subscribe.